Hi guys, welcome back to another video. If you are new here and are watching for the first time, hi and welcome. My name is Natasha and I hope you do become a part of this beautiful family just by clicking the subscribe button below. For all my returning subscribers, thank you so much for coming back, guys. Even though I've been so inconsistent, and I think by now you all know why I have been away from YouTube for some time. It's because I have a little baby who is sleeping right next to me. I'm really hoping that they don't wake up because this baby is literally my boss. I'm really hoping that they don't wake up. But yeah, if I keep looking that side, I'm actually just trying to check if baby's okay, and obviously just try and soothe baby so that baby doesn't disturb us during this video. So guys, as you can tell from the title of this video, today I am going to be sharing 10 steps, 10 simple steps or guidelines into purchasing your first home or place. I'm going to refer a lot to this specific scenario as a place or an apartment because that's what I bought. I am not 100% sure if the same steps apply when you are buying a home. So I don't want to refer to this video a lot as us purchasing a home. I think the steps would be very similar. The procedure would be the same, but I'm not 100% sure if things happen the exact same way. But yeah, I'll be referring a lot to this scenario as purchasing your first place, or I'll refer to it as an apartment. So firstly, if you are watching this video, there are three things involved. It's either you have decided to purchase your own place also, or you are interested in knowing the steps and the procedure to purchasing a new place, maybe for future reference or maybe for future should you decide to do so. Or number three, you actually tapped on this video by mistake or coincidentally and you are here now, which I would advise you to watch because this might actually help you in future. And if you have actually clicked on this video by mistake, please don't forget to subscribe since you are here. Anyways, let's get straight into the video, guys. Okay, so to give you guys a bit of background information on my personal story and how I actually got to this decision of actually purchasing my own place. For those of you who don't know, I purchased a place with my partner, who is my boyfriend at the moment. We are co-owning this place that we stay in, which is the apartment that I'm in now. And we basically got to this decision because of our own personal experiences, personal separate experiences in terms of accommodation and rentals and all of that, which I'm going to get into as the video goes. But I'm going to start with sharing my personal individual story. So I've rented or stayed in almost 8 rental apartments since I went out of high school. So what happened was after I finished high school, I obviously went to improve my marks the next year. So I never went into varsity straight away. And then thereafter, I went into varsity only a year after I had left high school. And in my second year of varsity, I then decided to stay with a friend who was renting an apartment. So I stayed with her and I assisted a bit with the rental where we were staying. And then the following year, we had to move to a different rental place and also paid rent there. We shared a room, just as we did in the previous place that we stayed at. Then from there, I moved into kind of like a commune. It was an apartment that had different rooms, and I rented a room in that apartment, which was just not a nice place to stay at. Excuse me, guys. I'm gonna have some tea while I speak to you guys. This is my lactation tea. For those of you who don't know what lactation tea, it's basically tea that helps boost your breast milk because I am breastfeeding. So yeah, I always have this every morning, afternoon and night. It just helps boost my milk so that I make sure my baby has food to eat. As I was saying, I rented in a commune, and I think there were 4 people who stayed in that apartment, and we all had our separate bedrooms. Then we shared a kitchen, and we shared a bathroom and a living room. I never really spent time in the living room. I was always in my room. And the setup in this specific commune was the exact same setup in the previous 2 places that I had stayed with my friend. It was the exact same setup. It was an apartment and it had different rooms, and we shared the living room, the kitchen, and the bathroom, and a person had their own bedroom, or they would share a bedroom with someone else. So I then moved from the 3rd place to the 4th place, which was kind of like, what do they call them? I think they usually call them, I could be wrong, I'll try and insert a name on the screen should I have it incorrectly, but I think Ibizwa headquarters. I think it's a room that was made for maids back in the days. So basically that's the room I stayed in. It was like a back room of a house, but very tiny. It was literally a 1 bedroom. Your bathroom was there, your shower was there, your toilet was there, and then I had a small table that I could literally put a stove on and cook, or just literally put my kitchen appliances on. And then there was my single bed, and then there was a small wardrobe. So that was the 4th place that I stayed at. And it was quite an experience. I think that place, it made me feel fulfilled, and I think I was so content at that time. And someone else would have come to my place and be like, yo, your place is so tiny or whatever. But to me, that was a blessing from God. And to me, that was what I could afford at that time. And to me, that was the best that I could have at that time. So I was so content and so fulfilled. I remember I was so happy, man. I didn't feel like I lacked. I didn't feel like my place was too small because of where I had come from previously. I mean, it was the first room that I could actually be alone in. So from there, I then moved inside the house, because then my landlord decided to rent out a room inside of his house, which I then in future shared with my best friend. And then from there, when my best friend left for Johannesburg, I then decided to find my own place elsewhere. I then rented my first apartment, I would say, yes. So by that, I mean renting an apartment where you are not really staying with a lot of people. I was literally just sharing with a friend. So I don't think I should call it my first apartment, but yeah, it was my first apartment. I wasn't sharing with too many people. I was sharing with one friend. She had her own bedroom. I had my own bedroom, and we shared the living room and the kitchen. Then from there, I then moved. Guys, I've moved so many times. I think you would understand why I got to this decision of actually wanting to buy a place. But anyways, so then during that time, that's when I met my partner. We were both staying separately at that time. He had his own place and I had my own place. And then I actually got retrenched from work. So that means I couldn't pay rent. I was literally gonna be broke and bankrupt for some time until I could get another job. So then my partner suggested that I stay with him for some time while I was trying to get back on my feet and find another job, which was now then our first time staying together. So we stayed together for some time, and then from there, he decided to move to a different apartment, a more safer and more better place, because he was staying in a place that was not really safe, and it was one of those, your congested, Tapa-like scenarios. He decided rather that he wanted to stay in a different place, and then I moved with him. But luckily, I got a job during that period, and then fast forward, I then decided to get my own place, which I then got. It was my first, now I can actually call it my first apartment. It was the first apartment that I rented by myself, like ndedwa, like literally alone. I wasn't staying with anyone. I wasn't sharing with anyone. It was just the best thing ever. It took a lot out of me to make that decision, because it made more sense for us to stay together at that time because I was just starting off at a new job, and I was also still finding my feet. And financially, it made a lot of sense because we were saving a lot. We were splitting costs in terms of, like, just utilities and house bills and all of that. But then, to be honest, I literally wanted to experience how it feels to stay alone. And I think I needed to do my spirit justice because I felt like if I don't experience that, I would probably resent him in future. Or not really resent him, but I would probably resent, not experiencing that whole feeling of staying alone and not having to share a place with anyone. Maybe I would be miserable in future because I've never had my own space. So I decided, you know what, let me listen to my soul and listen to my heart and actually experience how it feels to stay alone. So then I started looking for a place, and I remember that same year, my partner decided also to move to another place. Um, then that same year, we both moved to different places. So I stayed in my own place, he stayed in his own place, and we were both moving into a new place. Not necessarily like a new built place, but in terms of like our new places. We both moved into new places, and I stayed in a loft apartment. It was a beautiful apartment, very convenient. It was perfect for me because I didn't have any kids. I didn't have any person that I had to stay with. So it was literally upstairs my bedroom, and downstairs would be the living room and my kitchen. For those of you who usually watch my videos often, you will see I think I'm going to link the video that shows how the apartment looks in the description box below. And I'm going to insert some pictures right here so that you guys can see how the apartment looked. And it was the best, guys. Like, I really enjoyed styling my apartment, decorating it, and just being by myself. And then fast forward, I got tired of staying alone. Oh, guys, Tandindoda. Anyways, so I got tired of staying alone, and then I decided, you know what, I'm over this. Like, I'm over it. I think I enjoyed staying alone for some time, but then after that, I was like, this is not the setup that I want for myself for a long period of time, or for a very long time. So by now, I think I was how many months into staying in the new place? I think I was almost 8 months staying at the new place. Then my partner and I started having the conversation of purchasing a place. So it started off as just a normal conversation. No decisions were made. Nothing was concluded. It was just us, researching about, buying places. We found interest in property investment and all of that. And I think it was literally 2 months later, we decided that we were going to buy a place together. At first, it was not an easy decision to come to. I remember we had our differences because I still felt some type of way of us buying a place together when we were not married and all of that. But then, through prayer and just, asking God to reveal things to me and asking for clarity and just getting some time to think things through, I eventually got the answers that I wanted and the clarity that I needed. And then we both made a final decision that we were going to buy a place together. So the reason why I am sharing the background of where I come from in terms of my accommodation and where I've stayed and all of that is to make you guys understand that when you make a decision to buy a place, you don't just wake up the next day and decide you're taking. You understand? It's something that needs to be motivated by a circumstance or a situation. And that was the case for me. I was renting for so long. I had gone through a lot of drama and a lot of drama, guys, in terms of staying with people. The thing is, I'm a very cleanly person. Guys, I'm not bad. Don't get me wrong. I do have slight OCD, but I'm not bad. Like, I do go a week or even like maybe more than a week, with things a bit upside down in my home, or maybe dishes in the sink for a day or two, whatever. I won't lie. But generally, after some time, I think my clean Natasha kind of like comes out and be like, no, we need to get this house together. So I'm not bad, but at the same time, I can't stay in a pigsty environment for too long. And that is what really annoyed me with sharing a place with people. People just don't care. They don't care about keeping the place clean. And I felt like I was always running after people to tell them to clean up and all of that. And I felt like I'm not anyone's mom. I got tired of that because I started feeling like I am their mom. And the other thing is, I got tired of also cleaning up after them, because I just like a clean space. So a lot of things really influenced, the whole situation of staying with people, to staying with one friend, to staying with my partner, to staying alone. So when we finally got to the decision of buying a place together, it was literally influenced by a lot of factors. And for my partner also, he had rented quite a number of places also. And I think the last straw, or the one thing that really motivated us to buy a place together, was the whole scenario of having, the owner of a place deciding to sell the place, once you are staying or renting in the place, and then now all of a sudden you have to move out. That was really annoying for us because it was something that was happening consistently in the different places that we stayed at. You'd find that we'd stay in a place for some time and then all of a sudden the owner is selling it. So yeah, that was one of the things that really motivated us also to actually finally get our own place, because we wanted a place that we own, where no one is going to have control over what we do, how we do it, and no one is just going to rock up while we're sitting comfortably and tell us that we need to start packing and get out of their place. So yeah, that's what motivated us to get a place together. So let's get straight into now the real reason why we are here. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys 10 easy steps or procedures, whatever you want to call them, that go into purchasing your first place. In 10 easy steps, you are going to understand today what you need to do, how you need to go about it, and what you need for you to purchase your first place. The first point that we're going to be focusing on is going to be you have decided to buy. Number 2 is the pre-approval. Number 3 is finding a financial institution and estate agent. Number 4 is looking for a place. Number 5 is signing your OTP. Number 6 is approval of your home loan. Number 7 is you need to do your second inspection. Number 8 is the bond registration and transfer. Number 9 is payments that come with a new place. And number 10 is moving in. So I'm going to be going through each of those steps and telling you what each step entails. Number 1, so you have decided to buy. Excuse me guys if I keep looking down. I am on my PC. I have my notes on my PC so that I don't miss anything important that I need to share with you guys. So number 1, you have decided to buy, or you are interested in buying. So this is now the first step. You have decided that you are tired of the rental life. You are tired of sharing a place with people, or whatever your why is, or whatever is motivating you to buy, and you have decided that you want to buy a place. The first question that you need to ask yourself is why. Why do you want to buy a place? You need to have a valid reason. Your why is very important, because if you're buying a place because Mang Mang bought a place, or you're buying a place because you want to show off, or you're buying a place because of reasons that are not valid or that do not substantiate your reason, then you might find yourself in a funk at a certain point of time, because if your reason is not valid, or if your reason is not substantial enough, it's going to creep up with you. Then you need to ask yourself, how much are you willing to spend on a place? Shh, sorry, baby. Then you need to ask yourself, how much are you willing to spend on a place? You need to draw a budget. How much can you afford? These are questions that you need to ask yourself. You need to be realistic, and you need to be honest about your finances. You need to ask yourself, how much can you afford? You need to be realistic of how much you can afford, and you need to be honest about your finances. There's no use in you lying to a property agent or pretending to have money that you don't. you're setting yourself up for failure. So it's very important for you to draw a budget, be honest about how much you can afford. This includes how much you're willing to pay to purchase a place, and also how much you are willing or can pay in terms of your monthly bond payments. Then the third question you need to ask yourself under number 1 is, where do you want to stay? For example, your location, the area, the safety, and what are your preferences? This is very important because you don't want to go and stay at a place because it's beautiful or because it looks appealing, but then it's not really convenient in terms of the location, or it doesn't make sense in terms of its location. To make sure that the place that you're going to stay at is a convenient place and it's a location that will suit you and your needs. And then when do you plan on moving into the new place? This is a very important question because a lot of people rush to go and buy a place. They go through the whole process, and then sometimes you find that maybe they need to stay in the place sooner, and then the whole bond registration process takes a while, guys. It doesn't happen overnight. It literally takes a while. Or you find that sometimes people go and buy a place, and then they end up getting a place. Maybe the process happens way before then they had planned to move in, and then now they're stuck with a place that they didn't plan on moving in at that specific time. So when is very important. You need to ask yourself, by when do you want to move in? And then you need to decide if you want a newly built place, or you don't mind staying in a place that has been pre-existing, or rather an old place. Not an old place in a bad way, but a pre-existing place, basically. For example, if you stay in a newly built place, most newly built places do not have transfer costs. I'm not saying all of them are like that, but for instance, the apartment that we bought did not have any transfer costs because it's newly built. And then most pre-existing apartments do have transfer costs. So that's something you also need to question and ask yourself about. Do you want a place that's new, or you don't mind staying in a place that's pre-existing? And then you need to consider things such as traveling distance to work, to shops, to the mall, to schools, to hospital. Also in terms of public transport, how easy it is for you to get hold of public transport, especially for like family members who don't have cars, who are probably going to need to come and visit you via public transport, or even friends. And also you need to ask yourself questions like, you need to ask yourself questions like the number of people who stay in the apartment, how many people are you willing to kind of like stay around? Is it a pet-friendly place? Is it a child-friendly place? How is the parking situations like in terms of, do they offer 1 parking bay? Do they offer 2 parking bays? What type of appliances do they have inside the house? Do they have an electricity stove? Do they have a gas stove? Because obviously we know if you're buying a place in South Africa, it will be more convenient for you to have a gas stove because load shedding. Boo, 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 boo. But anyways, the electricity tariff, very important, guys, extremely important. You need to find out like what is the tariff on electricity around the area that you're going to be staying in. If you are going to be staying in the suburbs, the tariff is much higher compared to staying in the location. So those are things that you need to consider under number 1, which is now you have decided to buy a place. Then we're going to go to number 2, the pre-approval. The pre-approval entails your credit record. This is very important. This is something that you need to actually look at way before you buy a place. What is your credit record? How does your credit score look like? You need to start building on a healthy credit record way before you even decide to buy a place, because that's the one thing that they look at. If ever you have a bad credit record, a bad credit score, and a bad credit history, you are likely not going to get approved by any of the banks. So that's the first thing you need to start working on months or even years before you decide to buy a place. So under pre-approval, they're going to check your credit record, and they're going to check what your credit score is. And basically the bank uses your credit score and your credit record to check your buying and paying behavior. And obviously, if you're a bad payer, you don't pay on time, you have outstanding payments or outstanding, what do they call them? Amatyala, debt, outstanding debt, then likely they won't approve you. So for example, just to share a bit of my story, when we decided to buy a place, the financial institution that we were using to assist us to kind of like get approval from the banks, which was Uber Home Loans. I'm going to insert the name down below so that you guys can see. They actually discovered while they were checking my credit record that I had an outstanding debt. And then upon investigation, we realized that it was actually a debt from an identity theft situation that I found myself in, where someone stole my identity and went to open an account at this specific homeware store, and they took stuff on my name, and then I found myself in debt. And I went and I reported it, and I submitted all the documents I needed to submit, and I thought that it had been resolved. But upon the financial institution checking my credit record, they then realized that I still had that account under my name. So I had to literally go and clear it again and clear it with the credit bureau, because now my account had been handed over to the credit bureau, and that is really bad. Once your name gets to the credit bureau, guys, not good. So that's why it's really important to constantly make sure your credit record is clean and clear. Constantly check your credit score, know what you need to pay for, know what you owe, know what debts you have, and make sure that you always pay on time. Number 3 is find a financial institution and estate agent. As I've mentioned in the previous clip, we used Uber Home Loans, and they assisted us by applying at the different banks in South Africa to try and find a home loan that best suited our needs in terms of the amount that we needed at that time. Luckily for us, we had a fair deposit, a very good deposit actually, let me not lie, which is like literally half of the amount of the whole cost of the place. So we literally just needed the other half. And then this financial institution basically helped us to link us to a bank that would obviously offer us a good interest rate, which is very important. That's what's important under number 3, is for you to find a good financial institution that is going to assist you in applying at the different banks for you. Some people go straight to the banks. It all depends on you and what you want to do. But then we were fortunate enough to be linked and connected with this specific financial institution. Just to mention also under number 3, the aim is to find, hold on guys. Okay, so as I was saying, the aim is to find a bank that is going to offer you a low interest rate rather than a high interest rate. I don't know if I'm making noise, but I think I'm disturbing my little human. Anyway, number 4 is now you're going to start looking for a place. So now that you have decided that you want to buy, and you've actually gone and checked your credit record, and you've made sure everything is good for your pre-approval, you found a financial institution or an estate agent that is going to assist you to apply for you at the different banks. Now you can start looking for a place. All right. So when you're looking for a place, you're going to obviously start viewing places. So I'm going to give you tips in terms of looking for a place and viewing a place. The first tip is that you should never view a place during the night time. Always view during the day. Also, never view a place while there's load shedding. Make sure you always view a place during the day when there's beautiful light outside and when there's electricity, so that you can switch the plugs on, switch the lights on, check what's working, check what's not working. And the other point under looking for a place is that don't view in a rush. You must take your time. Remember, this is going to be your home for a very long time, and you are not going into a shop to buy a cell phone. That's just me making an example, guys. This is not you going into a shop to buy a cell phone. This is you looking for a place that you're going to stay at, probably for the rest of your life or for a very long time. So you need to make sure that you do a thorough inspection. You need to make sure that you check everything properly. You need to make sure that you are viewing the place patiently and not in a rush. Then, very important questions to ask when you're viewing. You need to ask the estate agent or whoever it is that is going to be with you while you view. You need to ask them why the seller is selling, because you might find sometimes that the seller might be selling for the wrong reasons. So you need to ask those questions. They might lie to you, but I always say this, the way they respond says a lot about the truth in their response. So look for body language, look for the tone and how they respond. That is very telling. And then you need to ask the person who is helping you view, it could be the estate agent, how long has the place been on the market? This is also very important, guys. If a place has been on the market for 4 years, it likely means there's something wrong with the place, because a place cannot be on the market for too long. If a place is a good place and it's in a good condition, it's in a good location, everything is good about it, then there shouldn't be a reason why someone is not buying it. Perks of being a mom, hey? So yeah, for instance, I'm gonna make an example of a situation we were in. Before we bought the place that we bought now, we viewed, I think, over 10 places. Yep. You need to make sure you make the right decision. So we viewed, I think, over 10 places, and there's one place that we almost bought. And upon investigation, we realized that the place had been on the market, I think, for almost 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, or a year and a half or something like that. And we kept on wondering, why was the place not being bought? We never really found a substantial answer, but we realized that there's a reason why someone was not buying it, or whoever probably viewed it prior to us was not buying it. And I remember the estate agent of that place was like literally forcing us to sign the OTP. And luckily, thank God, we never signed it, which I'm going to get to in the next clips of the video. It's very important, guys. Very, very important. Do not just sign OTPs. But yeah, anyways, that's the thing. You need to ask yourself those type of questions. You need to ask the estate agent why the place is, why the seller is selling, and how long the place has been on the market. And very important, how old is the place? Because obviously you don't want to buy a place that is too old or that was built in like 1902 or whatever. You obviously want a place that is more recent, because obviously an older place means more renovations, more maintenance, and all of that. So that is what is under point number 4, which is looking for a place. And then once you have viewed and you've asked the seller all these questions, just make sure you view the place once more, just to make sure you are happy with it. That's if you have made a decision. Number 5 is the OTP, which is the offer to purchase. So now you've found your home and it's time for you to sign the offer to purchase. So let's say now you viewed maybe 5 places, 10 places, 12 places, and you have decided that this is your home. You found your home. You're happy about everything, the location, how it looks, the number of bedrooms, the cupboard space, the wall painting, the surroundings of the place, and everything that you had on your list. This place checks. Guys, give me a second. Okay, guys, my little boss is awake, but I'm going to carry on with the video while I breastfeed them. So as I was saying, so number 5 is the OTP, which is the offer to purchase. So now you found your new home and it's time for you to sign the offer to purchase. Make sure you read the OTP, including the finer details plus clauses. Guys, this is very important. Read the OTP, guys, especially the fine details that they like to write at the bottom. I remember one of the OTPs that we once read said if we sign it, then we are bound to it after 72 hours. So which means that if we sign that OTP, after 72 hours, we were basically homeowners of this place. So it's very important for you to read the OTP. If this estate agent gives it to you in a rush and is quickly telling you to sign, don't do that. Tell him you'd rather take it home and then read it, and then you're going to give it back to him the next day or whatever. If ever you are not going to meet him the next day, then rather ask him if you can just sit down and go through it before you sign it, but don't just sign stuff. And then be careful of binding yourself to an agreement. As I said, we once almost signed an OTP that actually was binding to purchasing the place. So, for instance, if you signed that and you did not read the clauses and the finer details, then you might find yourself purchasing a place that you didn't intend on purchasing in the first place. So that's very important under OTP. And then the next point is number 6, which is approval of the home loan. So now that you have signed your OTP of the place that you've decided to choose in terms of all the places that you have viewed, then you are going to get an approval from one of the banks. So your documents and everything gets submitted to the banks, and the banks now have to come back with an offer and let you know whether they're willing to give you the full bond amount. They will come back with all those details, including the interest rate that they are willing to offer you based on the bond amount that they're going to give you. So under that point, I have financial institution will have applied at different banks for you in pursuit to find the best offer, the full amount loan or X deposit if you have deposit, and low interest rate. So for example, if you have a deposit, it's obviously going to be the house amount minus the deposit, and then the bank is going to offer you whatever the difference is. If ever you need a full home loan, then the bank will obviously decide if ever they'll be able to offer you a full home loan. And obviously the main important thing is for you to get a lower interest rate, because getting a lower interest rate lowers the cost to borrow. Then you need to consider the loan term. How long do you want to pay your loan for? Do you want to pay a loan for 25 years? Do you want to pay a loan for 20 years or 15 years or 10 years or 5 years? It all depends on you. It also all depends on your financial situation. If you have decided to buy a place, but then decided that you don't want to be paying for a place for 25 years, then make a decision to pay extra on your bond or pay more than you should to obviously lower your loan term. The other question is, do you have a deposit? Deposit really helps, especially buying a place. It's not the same as buying a car, because obviously a cost of a home is much more higher than the cost of certain cars. So for instance, you need to make sure that you have a good deposit. If you have a deposit, then that will obviously work to your advantage. And then there's another point that you need to consider, which is the fixed or variable interest rate. Now, a lot of people don't know about this, and we also discovered it when we bought the place. So a fixed interest rate is an interest rate that is not affected by the repo rate. What is the repo rate? So the repo rate is the rate at which the central bank of a country, which is the Reserve Bank, lends money to commercial banks. So what happens is, if this rate increases, it also affects people who are home owners. So if it increases, then it means your monthly loan repayment is also going to increase. So fixed is not affected by the repo rate or the market rate. So what this means is, if ever, for example, you got, I'm just making an example, a percentage of 4.5 from the bank, and then you are under the fixed interest rate, it means if the rate increases or decreases, it doesn't affect your monthly payments or monthly home loan payments. It stays fixed. But now the disadvantage of this is that if ever the repo rate decreases than the 4.5% that you are paying on, then you don't get to eat the cake. Get it? You don't get to enjoy the perks of a decreased interest rate. So that is the disadvantage. But then the advantage is that if it does increase, if the repo rate increases, your monthly payment still stays the same, so you are not affected by that. Then there's the variable interest rate. The variable interest rate is affected by the change in the repo rate. So this means if the repo rate increases, then your monthly loan repayments are also going to increase. If the repo rate decreases, then your monthly loan repayments are also going to decrease. So as you can see, there are pros and cons on both of these. There's not one that is better than the other. I personally think, this is from personal experience, we chose the variable interest rate, and we are seeing the effects because when the repo rate changes, it does affect our monthly loan repayment. So yeah, that's something you need to consider and something that you need to know about in case you didn't know. That is all under number 6. Number 7 is do your second inspection of the place. So you've gone through this whole process, you found your place, you have applied at the banks, and let's say now you have been approved by the bank, and now you are excited, you are going to now start with the process of the bond registration and transfer. So now the 7th point is that you need to do a second inspection of the place. If your home is newly built, please, 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 guys, very important, if your place is newly built, do weekly checks. For example, let me share a bit of our story. So we obviously bought a newly built place, and the biggest mistake that we did, or didn't do rather, was come and do kind of like maybe weekly or monthly checks of our place as they were building it, because we asked them to make certain amendments and changes in our place, and to our very big disappointment, closer to us moving into our new place, we realized that the changes that we had asked for were not done. And now remember, they were done building the place. Some of the changes were changes that were amendable. Like for instance, we asked them to set our bedroom cupboards in a certain structure. They were able to change those. We added a bit more extra cupboards in the kitchen because the cupboard space was too small. So we added extra cupboards. They didn't do it exactly how we wanted it. There were a lot of things that we had asked for them to do and changes we had made based on the initial drawing that they had not done. And some they were able to amend and change for us, and some we just had to suck it in and live with them. So that is a very important point, that if you are moving into a newly built place, make sure that you do at least monthly checks, just to make sure that if you have made changes, they do implement the changes into your new place. And then you need to check that you are satisfied and make sure that you have on paper all the defects that will need to be fixed pre-existing apartment. So this is for a pre-existing apartment. Once you're doing a second inspection, you need to make sure that you go and check for any defects in the apartment, anything that you pick up that is not right, that is maybe needs to be fixed or that is ruined. Then you need to make sure that you jot it down on pen and paper and send an email to the necessary people, because you don't want to move into an apartment that has pre-existing problems. Then now that you've done your second inspection, you go to okay, I don't know how to do number 8 with my fingers, but number 8 is the bond registration and transfer. So this is one of the most not tedious, but it does take quite a while. This is the part where the bond gets registered at the bank and the transfer is done from the seller to the buyer. This is also the part where your documents and you as the new buyer or owner is registered at the deeds office. This is the passing of the transfer. If the place is pre-existing, then there will be transfer costs, and there will be a pass of transfer of municipal rates, accounts, levies, and so forth. So what this means is that If you are moving into a pre-existing place, there's gonna need to be a transfer of the municipal rates, the levies, and all of that, obviously from the old owner to the new owner. And also, if it is an existing place, there probably will be a transfer cost, obviously transferring from the old owner to the new owner, or rather from the seller to the buyer. And then if it's a new apartment, it usually doesn't have any transfer costs. And basically, you are going to be the first person to pay your municipal rates, your levies, water, and so forth. All of those will be yours, your responsibility. And that's something else that I'm going to come to, which is that it's all nice to buy a new place and to own your own place, but the responsibilities that come with owning your own place are also a lot. Under number 8 also, you might have to pay occupational rent. So what this means is, for example, in our situation, when we bought our place, we asked them to register it only once we move in. So what happened was they finished building it. We moved in May, but then when we moved in, they hadn't registered the bond yet, because obviously we asked them to only register once we move in. But then we needed to move in at that time because our leases at our respective places had expired. Sorry guys, mommy brain. Had expired. So after that, we had to literally urgently move into the place once they were done building it. So when we moved into the place, we had to pay occupational rent, which is basically rent for you occupying the place. I think it's self-explanatory. Rent for us occupying the place for that month. And then our bond was registered, I think, literally mid-May or just around the 20th of May. And obviously, because we had paid rent, they charged us pro rata, which means they subtracted the weeks that we had left over, and they refunded us the respective amount. So yeah, that's all under bond registration and transfer. And then 9, we're close to finishing, guys. Payments that come with a new place. Yeah. Buy a new place, they said it will be cool. They said, water, levies, rates, taxes, electricity, maintenance.
Got it! Got it! Oh!
Yeah. Anyways, so payments that come with a new place, guys, waters and levies. So if you are owning the place, you are going to have to pay for waters.
Help me! Help me! Nigga!
And levies. This is different from when you're renting a place. When you're renting a place, you literally pay for your rental or your monthly rental, and that is it. You do not have any other responsibilities. But when you own the place, waters and levies are your baby. Then there's also rates and taxes. So rates and taxes, this is could be for like things such as your refuse, your street lights, your roads, your sewage, the municipality bill, etc. It usually is sent either to your emails, or you can log on to the respective municipal website and check using your account number, and they will tell you on a monthly basis how much you need to pay. And then the waters and levies are usually sent to you by the estate agent on a monthly basis also, and they usually let you know how much you need to pay for that specific month, which is literally for the water. And the levies are kind of like the maintenance of the property. Whatever maintenance needs to be done around the property, that could be under levies. And obviously the water is the water that you use in your home. And then there's also electricity that you need to pay for on a monthly basis, depending also where you stay. If your tariff is high where you stay, you're going to be paying a higher electricity bill. If your tariff is low, you're going to be paying a low electricity bill. As I've mentioned previously in the previous clips, that if you stay in the suburbs, your tariff is usually higher. If you stay in the location, it's usually lower. So yeah. Then Still under number 9, there's an initiation fee that you will have to pay once you buy your place. So this is a fee to open your home loan account. Yeah, even this is besides your electricity, this is besides your rates and taxes, this is besides your waters and levies. There's an initiation fee that is going to be charged to your home loan, which is basically a fee to open the home loan account. I think it's self-explanatory. And then there's also going to be, on a monthly basis, your mortgage or slash bond monthly installment, which is how much you're going to pay on a monthly basis back to the bank in pursuit to finish your loan. Then, still under number 9, these are all payments, guys. Niyaziva, yo, mortgage slash bond cover. This is in case you're out of work, disabled, or die. So you need to have bond cover, which is basically, should you die, God forbid, whatever bond cover you had for your home, the bond cover will be able to pay whatever amount you owe to the bank or that is still outstanding on your home loan. Then you also need to have home content insurance, which is basically ensuring what is inside your home. So for example, important things like your TV stand, your fan, your book, what do they call this thing? Your guys, mommy brain, bookshelf, your fridges, whatever big appliances and equipment or furniture that you have, you need to insure it, because this is what people don't know. The body corporate only covers whatever is outside their apartment. So for instance, if the fence falls off, if something catches fire outside the apartment, or if something around the building gets ruined, then they pay for it. But everything that is inside your apartment, everything that is inside your place, you are liable to paying for it should anything get ruined. They do not pay for anything. So it's very important that you get home content insurance when you get a place, so that should anything get damaged, stolen, or catch fire for any reason, God forbid, then you know that you are covered. You'll be able to at least get a payment of some sort so that you can reimburse yourself or buy another item. Then another important thing under payments is that you need to have emergency cash. Emergency cash is for maintenance. So for example, should your geyser burst, you need to make sure you have money to be able to replace it or fix it or whatever. And then things such as, should your stove decide to stop working, should some of the lights decide that they want to fuse, whatever it is that might happen within your home that will need you to spend money on it for maintenance, you need to make sure that you do have emergency cash for maintenance of those things. And then once you have learned of all these payments that you're going to need to pay for, number 10, which is so exciting, then you can move into your new place. And this is the part where they say, congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Hoo-Hoo, or Miss Hoo-Hoo, or Mr. Hoo-Hoo. Welcome to your new home, or whatever the case may be. So number 10, now that all is done, you are finally ready to move into your new place, and you have gone through all those processes and everything has been approved, your bond has been registered, you found your place, you're happy with everything, you've done your inspections, and you are now ready to move in. And the only thing that you'll need to consider with moving is now the moving costs, which is the moving company you're going to use and the transport costs that you're going to need to pay for the moving. And yeah, guys, that is basically in 10 easy, simple steps explained. I hope I explained everything in simple terminology and simple words for you to understand. I didn't use any bombastic words that people usually use when they try and explain this home buying experience, which can be very, very draining if you don't understand what they're talking about. So I tried to use as much simple words as I could so that I can make anyone understand the 10 steps that you'll need to go through to buy a place. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm sorry for the disturbance from my little human being. I guess those are the perks that come with being a mom, guys. No privacy whatsoever, no personal time. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please do subscribe if you haven't. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and let's interact in the comment section below. Let me know what you've learned, if this video was fruitful and if it really helped you, and whatever else that you have to say. Thank you so much, guys. Catch you in the next video.